look around and I realize God left this place a long time ago.
I gave seminars on manipulation. I could reach into a man's soul and unravel it with one tug.
Cool. Hit me.
You're bald.
So are you?
I'll kill you, you...
You're wearing protective goggles to destroy my car?
Safety first!
It's the Al Travis Show, and we've got it. Representative Walter Hudson on the program with us. Representative, we generally talk Minnesota stuff. Do you mind if we start just nationwide for a second? Because it's kind of into my craw for a minute. We've been in a 2-year battle, Israel with Hamas and the Palestinians, and the protesting on a weekly basis in some major city on stop the death and stop the carnage, and Trump's, doing the bidding of yada yada. The stuff stops. There is a ceasefire. Now, how long it lasts, I get it. I don't know. But how is there not people clamoring in the streets to get on CNN, to get on Fox and say, you know what? Trump did it. He did what I wanted him to do. We stopped the killing for now. How is it? I mean, is there hatred for him so bad that it overrides everything they actually told us that they really thought they wanted? Your thoughts?
Yes, is the answer to the question. Yes, the hatred for him is so bad, but it's more broad than that. It's hatred for America. It's hatred for Israel. It's hatred for Western civilization. This was never about the poor people of Gaza. Okay. This is about one of their many vectors of attack against Western civilization, and against the American way of life. I mean, that's what they're protesting.
Okay. Well, then before we get to more Minnesota stuff, I want to throw one more at you because I also wrote this down. I heard that Donald Trump told Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, pay the military. Find it in the Pentagon budget. If you got to stop building a ship somewhere, do whatever you got to do, shift that money. I want the military to be paid. Now, I'm an old military guy, and I get it. Many people are going to say, well, wait a minute. What about the person who worked for the Secretary of the State's office on the thing? She got furloughed. Okay. If you got a gun on your back, an MR-13, whatever, and you're over there in the desert trying to save me, I want you to have your money. If you're a secretary that we can live without because you're a non-essential employee furloughed, I don't care. How mean is that of me? I know it's a double standard, but I'm glad he's doing it.
Yeah, no, I support it 100%. You're okay. Absolutely right. I mean,
I get it's democracy. I want everybody paid. Okay, God, but that's not the reality. So pay those and keep us safe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to consider anything essential, that's essential. Our military is essential. Okay. The person who pushes paper in an office somewhere can hang on until Congress gets its act together.
And he's cutting many furloughed employees, but being in the public sector, when you work for the public, and you're in a job that is classified as non-essential.
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to lose your job, but I mean, is it really something we should be scratching our heads about? Yes, he got rid of, I think he's up to 300,000. 300,000 people aren't working for us anymore. But unless you can tell me when we get back, things don't work right, isn't that the bloatedness we try to get out? You're a non-essential employee. I don't mean to be mean to somebody who's sitting at home not getting a check. I don't mean to be mean, but you're classified as not essential.
Well, listen, I mean, this is what we voted for, right? We voted for government to get rid of its inefficiencies. And the folks who remain, by the way, they're going to get their money. Yeah. They're going to get their back pay when they return. That's why all of this is far less dramatic than people typically tend to argue that it is. It's an assumed risk of being a government employee.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, these are incredibly well-paying jobs that are typically far above and beyond the median income of the average person out in the private sector. So I do not have a whole lot of sympathy for the folks.
I like what you call this what voted for, because the story today that's got me just riled up because I'm not smart enough to understand it, so you're here to explain it to me. First off, Secretary of State Steve Simon said he would not give the Trump administration their voter rolls. Now, Steve Simon says these rolls are perfect. We got this are clean. This is good voter rolls, but I'm not going to give them to him. I don't understand that, sir, because the government already has my name and my address and my social security number. I don't know what Steve Simon has that the federal government doesn't.
Right.
So why not? All it's going to do is prove you got these squeaky white, perfect voter rolls, and then Trump will give you an award or something. But if not, maybe there's something there. So explain to me why he won't do that. Then I'll get to today's story.
Well, because he's lying. Because he's lying. That's why. Because the voter rolls are going to indicate that there's things going on that violate election law. And you're absolutely right. This whole argument from the beginning of that his concern is about the privacy of the voter. Give me a break. If you have the information, it's not private information, right? If you have the information, then government categorically already has it. So what's the difference between you having it and the DOJ having it?
And did you get the real ID? The real ID, so I can get on planes. You get the real ID in Minnesota? You almost have to take a blood test. They almost have to prove you're human before you. I mean, there's nothing the government doesn't have. So anyway, now this moves into today's. Minnesota's story, according to NPR. Secretary of State Steve Simon is supporting a new bill with some guy from California and a gal from Ohio. It's called the Voter Purge Protection Act. And basically, he says you would not be removed from the voter rolls unless there is a reliable evidence that you died or you moved to another state. I read it 2-3 times. My dad literally just passed 5 months ago. The state of Minnesota created a death certificate. The family and I had to sit around and think about it. You look at all the other things he's got to tell people he died. Who needs a real death certificate from the state of Minnesota? Who could take copies? And then you got to pay a mass amount. It's a whole thing. Are you telling me right now that the state of Minnesota issues me a death certificate of my dad, but they don't take him off the voter rolls currently? I have to then submit either a real copy or a copy of the state's document to the state to tell him he died? Is that the system today? That's nuts.
I don't know if that's how it works or not, but it certainly makes sense that it would, right? I mean, we just decided that we're going to automatically enroll people, register people to vote every time they get a driver's license or apply for benefits, right? Like you apply to get a check from the state, then they're going to sign you up to register to vote, right? Because we want those people voting. We want to make sure those people are out there voting.
Absolutely.
But then you're not going to have automated systems in place to take people off the voter rolls when they properly ought to be. It's pretty obvious what's going on there, right?
Well,
this effort to have as many people registered as possible, whether they're actual people or not. It's pretty clear what the intention is there.
But what did they get out? I guess, so now we go the other way. So my dad passes, they don't want to take him off the rolls. Okay, he's not going to go sign up to vote. He's no longer with us. There's a name there, and it's sitting there, and it's sitting in there on the voter rolls. What good does it do them except for nefarious reasons to say, well, Johnny comes over, hey, you can vote as Al's dad. I mean, that's the only reason, right? I mean, what could possibly be there?
Yeah, no, that is the only reason. Absolutely, is to have that name there so that somebody can use it to go and fraudulently vote. That's the only purpose.
Then the other side of this is you must prove that you moved to another state to get off our voter rolls. How, we can't ask people to have a real driver's license to show ID to vote in Minnesota, but I must prove I moved out of the state to get off your rolls. It's hard enough to get the stupid post office to send your stuff to the next address. Right. You're going to tell me, oh, that's right, I want to vote 4 years from now. Make sure Steve knows I'm leaving the state. It's not going to happen. No one's going to do it. Nobody.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, and that's the point, is to have a bunch of names on the rolls that don't belong there. That's what they want, so that they can use it for fraud.
See,
let's not mince words.
So this is where they changed me. I'm a constitutionalist. I seriously am. I promise you I am. But I'm almost at the point the federal government's got to step in and say things like, when Al moves to Iowa and signs up to vote, that name should go out to the other 49 states via a computer system, say, hey, if Al's with you, take him off because he's with us now.
Yeah.
We have computers. But I don't want I really don't want the federal government running state elections. But if that's how Minnesota's going to do it, Al's voting in Iowa, but his name's still in Minnesota, and I don't know it's still in Minnesota because I just moved. I don't care. You get my point? I don't want federal government running state elections, but you almost have to at some point. This is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, there is danger there because, the feds will one day be controlled by the other side, and God knows what they would do with that sort of control over our elections. At the same time, there does need to be, I think, some sort of oversight over what these states are doing, because they're clearly intentionally setting up election infrastructure for the purpose of maintaining and expanding election fraud. Like, that's clearly what they're doing.
Put your Steve Simon hat on, though. That can't be how he's selling it. He's just saying that it's protects voters from being stripped of their rights to vote through no fault of their own, like death. What?
Yeah.
What?
No, well,
I moved.
That's an absurd argument in the state of Minnesota, because we have same-day registration and we don't have what do they call those, provisional ballots. Yeah. So even if you were mistakenly taken off the rolls, you still get to vote. So that's an absurd argument on its face.
Okay, so how does he? Well, if that's what he's going to use, people will just go with that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
you're through no fault of your own, you died, or someone's just going through and saying you're dead when you're not dead, and we just took their word for it, even though we have the death certificates in Minnesota, by the way, but we don't look them up. That's crazy to me, sir. None of that makes any sense. So I got to go to break. Do you care talking about it's Trans Day and Sports Day in Minnesota? Can we talk about that? Sure. Push comes to shove today. We've got him, Representative Walter Hudson. He doesn't run from any question I've got for him. We talk about the trans issue next.
Tired of one-sided media and divisive noise drowning out your conservative values? Take back the conversation with Braver Angels. Join a grassroots movement to restore civility and find common ground without compromising your principles. As a conservative, your voice matters. Share your perspective on issues like immigration and public health in red-blue workshops and help rebuild trust in our great nation. Be a leader in depolarizing America. Sign up for free at mn.braverangels.org. Braver Angels, where conservatives, liberals, and independents unite for a stronger republic.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
You don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on The Al Travis Show.
Another deal that's gotten under my skin today. I'm going to talk about the Representative Walter Hudson. A little background quick, if I'm telling the story straight, sir. Let me know if I'm not. Basically, when Donald Trump said he was going to get rid of the Department of Education, people in Minnesota were yelling and screaming, and kids were going to go not learn, and we're going to help kids with special needs, and life was all. So guess what? Department of Education is still there. Department of Education sends out a little memo saying if you're going to get money from us, by the way, you got to file a little thing called Title IX. Now all heck's blown up, and we're willing to throw that aside. Either you want the Department of Education running stuff, or you don't. You're muted, sir, in case you... that doesn't make sense to me. Now, you wanted it, you got it, they told you what to do, and now we're willing to argue against it. And we'll talk about what came out today. But you get my premise? Either you want the federal government telling you what to do, or you don't, right? Or you only want it when they're telling you what you want to hear.
Well, it's the second thing, obviously. they want the federal government to have control over education so that they can control education, not so that they can be controlled by it. It's supposed to only go one way. It's supposed to only ratchet to the left. It's never supposed to do anything that moves things back in the direction of normalcy.
So as I understand it, today's the day. Today's the day you got to pony up or shut up, because Donald Trump says that funding is going to stop for the state of Minnesota if we don't follow Title IX. Evidently, the Minnesota State Solicitor General sent a little email letter, I'm sure it was post-stamp marked, but anyway, said lack of clarity with the government as it's shut down means we will just continue as we are until the government shutdown is over. We're just playing games. This is such lack of clarity. Maybe I'm wrong, you tell me. Follow Title IX as it was intended since 1978, or you don't get funding. Am I missing some clarity in there somewhere?
Nope, not at all. It's just another excuse. It's just another excuse to not follow that law and to endanger that funding. And they're playing chicken with a guy who's not going to blink.
He just stopped Hamas and Israel from fighting. You really want to get into this game with him. But let me throw this at you, because maybe there's room for wiggle here. And what I mean by that is the legislature passed in 2023, I believe it was, in our Equal Rights Act of Minnesota. It used to be sex, transgender, or sex and your color, your creed, your nationality, all that. And they changed gender to gender identity. They put the word identity behind it. So now Minnesota State High School's like, just following the law, it says gender identity. Why we wash our hands of it? Is this something they could probably hold off on, whether you want to lose the money or not, until the legislature gets back to say we have to fix this problem?
Well, that word? Not if they want to get their federal dollars. If they want to get their federal dollars, they're going to have to do what they're being instructed to do by the Department of Education. And by the way, they're going to have to follow Title IX. And also, it should be a pretty good indication to us how absurd that change in the Human Rights Act was when you clearly have two protected classes that are in direct conflict with one another. And this is a point that I made in committee last session when we were talking about the bill that I believe Representative Peggy Scott brought forward in order to take boys out of girls' sports. The point I made was you guys put this absurd category into our Human Rights Act that is directly conflicts with another protected class, which means you have to pick one. You can't do both. You can't at the same time protect sex as a class and this concept of gender identity, which completely obliterates the category of sex. It's not possible. You're either going to protect one or you're going to protect the other. You cannot do both.
But you're a smart man. You say it like that, I agree. Okay, that makes sense. You can't say we're protecting this class and the other class on the other side exactly. It doesn't work that way. But how do they sell it to themselves? How do we go so far down this road, we're going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars in federal funding because they didn't understand that concept? You explained it pretty well.
Oh, I explained it so well that two of the Democrats on the other side of the table got up and walked out of the room. They were so infuriated at the logic. Yeah, listen.
Blow a guy's mind.
I have no idea how they reconcile these things in their own hearts and minds. I also don't care. It's not my responsibility to unwind the knot in their cognitive dissonance It's their responsibility to recognize reality and legislate accordingly.
Well, what just with the last 90 seconds, how do they get by with this? And the last one I heard was it's not that many kids in Minnesota anyway. Okay, let's say it's 10. It's only 10 kids. But it's only 10 kids who affect the 10 kids that can't play because they're better than the other 10. It also only affects the 10 kids on the 10 teams that then play the other 10 teams in their division, and then those teams have to play in the subsections of the state. But other than that, it really affects nobody. This idea that it's a few kids affected is not even a good argument. It multiplies by every team they play.
It's a terrible argument, and you wouldn't apply it to literally any other situation. You wouldn't say, well, only 10 kids get exposed to somebody flashing them in their locker room, so I guess we're going to say it's okay. But that's literally what we're talking about, right? We're talking about boys and girls locker rooms, right? So no, that's an absurd argument. Even one instance of a girl being displaced on her team by a boy is one too many.
And that's why they came up with Title IX. The first thing ever politically ever remembering is in the 70s going, oh, they get their own teams? That makes sense. Seems even. Sir, I got to fly. I love having you on the show. Thanks for covering this stuff with me today. Is Representative Walter Hudson. Thank you, sir.